All right, folks, newsflash, in case you didn't know. Harleys don't make horsepower. They're stinker engines. They're terrible. They're awful. Everyone always clowns on them and makes memes about how Harleys don't make horsepower. You're dogging on your dad's Road King for having no top-end punch, like your 2005 R1 you bought off Facebook Marketplace, right, Whitney?
Yeah, for what, 15 grand these days, or what?
The R1?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, prices are going up on those sport bikes. But here's the thing, guys. Harleys don't make horsepower kind of intentionally, but also unintentionally. Today we're talking about why these motorcycles don't make a lot of top-end horsepower or horsepower in general, and why that's actually a design characteristic of these motorcycles. And in fact, this is one of our giveaway motorcycles, this Harley-Davidson Sportster 1200 over here. Make sure you check out the links below to yamanoob.co to find out how you can get entered to win this machine. All right, Whitney, so I tasked you with researching this topic, so let us know. What's the first point about why Harleys don't make horsepower?
It's so easy. They're designed for cruising, man.
Oh my God.
They're designed for going down the highway at your pace with your buddies, pulling up to the nearest bar. I mean, it's like all about the aesthetics. They're built for comfort. They've got a chassis for, you know, just hanging out on the highway.
What about my 131 Screamin' Eagle Stage 95 Big Dog Road King engine? What about that one?
That's another topic because that has to do with man's inherent conquest for power.
Ah.
You know,
Whitney jumps on the video and this is what happens. But yeah, guys, the first reason really is that Harleys are built for cruising. They're not really designed to be on a racetrack. They have always been this kind of low-B, street-biased thing. And so it stays with tradition that it is like that, right?
Yeah, and that's what it's for, man. So this is like the other side of motorcycling, right? This is for people who just want to hang out, pull up to a restaurant or bar, ride with their friends. They're not looking to tear up the nearest curvy mountainside road or whatever. You can still have fun and you can cruise and you can still get up to high speeds with this, but it's not for dragging your knee.
Right, which a lot of people on the internet always think that every bike I ride, I'm trying to drag a knee on and go faster on corners, but I'm a little bit more evolved than that, if you can imagine. But Whitney, there's probably a scientific reason, maybe a mechanical or an engineering reason why these engines don't make a lot of horsepower, right?
Yeah, these engines are also designed for lower RPMs. They're not designed for horsepower. You know, you get these on a dyno and that's what it's measuring. It's measuring torque. It's measuring these smaller cylinders with a longer stroke, essentially.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that on the internet.
Sorry, I just can't help it.
Yeah, so Harley engines have what are known as an under-square motor. The piston is smaller than the distance at which is actually traveling inside the cylinder. We actually made a whole segment about this on one of our list videos a while back. But anyways, these have a smaller piston moving on a longer stroke, whereas a sport bike has a big, fat, wide piston moving at a tiny stroke, making a lot of top-end horsepower, but sacrificing that low-end tractability, which is what these motorcycles are known for. Because when you're ripping off a stoplight and kind of ambling around, you want that low-end punch. I
like every hand movement you did not to fake jerk it on the internet.
Yes, I said
just like
stroke.
But lower RPMs are what you want when you're on that other side of the riding spectrum, right? You want to have torque. You don't care about horsepower. You're going, you're commuting in the city, you're on an American highway. Why would you need 215 horsepower to do that?
That's a great question, Whitney. Some of us, like you said, man's hubris, quest for power. I mean, I sit there and like 215, those are baby numbers, you know, with the Turbo Hayabusa. I'm like, you gotta get away with those rookie numbers, get those up. But there's also another reason why these engines don't make a lot of horsepower, and it's the overall design of the V-twin, right?
Those are just inherently less powerful than other engine designs, right?
Yeah, the thing that we want to point out here is that V-twins historically in racing, for example, have had to bump up in displacement to compete with other engines that had multi-cylinders that could rev out higher and make more power. Famously in World Superbike, the twins got bumped up to 1,000 cc's while the 750cc four-cylinders had to scrap against them. If you want to make a similar amount of horsepower out of a V-twin, you typically have to have an increase of displacement. And if you have an increase in displacement, it's typically harder to get that engine to rev as high as a smaller engine. It's why you see those tiny little four-cylinder engines from Japan revving to like 20,000 RPM or whatever.
What do these max out at?
Oh, this is like 5,000, 6,000. Yeah. Manscaped is your one-stop shop for all of your male grooming needs. They sell the tried and true Lawnmower 4.0 for all of your shaving needs, and now they sell the body buffing tool and body wash as well. If you're using a loofah, it's a little bit gross. You're going to want to make sure that you're actually exfoliating your skin and using something that doesn't collect a bunch of germs. Hit the link down below and get yourself 20% off your order. Big shout out to Manscaped for supporting today's episode. Again, all you got to do is hit that link down below and you will get 20% off your order on anything on the website. Now back to the show. So what else, Whitney, about these engines make them not make enough horsepower?
They also overbuild these engines so you can modify them. So you can get your stage number 69 or whatever to beef out your Harley. And they're made for that. You can totally beef them up, work on them. This engine can handle it.
Yeah, and when you're modifying that, you're increasing the compression ratio, you're maybe putting in pistons that are wider, and there's lots of ways to hot rod these engines without massively changing the bore and stroke. Fundamentally, the bore and stroke for these motors will probably retain the same. You can change the piston characteristics to squeeze air and gas harder in that engine. You can do all kinds of stuff to make them make a little bit more horsepower. But at the end of the day, those multi-cylinder bikes with 4 or more cylinders are just going to make more power at the top end. There's really not much you can do. But there's something nice about the feeling of torque down low from these engines.
Yeah, I mean, as a commuter, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that feel all over the place. The rubber band slingshot of those higher RPMs on leader bikes that's a whole different realm.
Yeah.
Your quest for power, it's like I'd rather spend money on a chassis on this, right? It's like if you're looking to take turns and carve curvy canyon roads, it's like I'd rather spend money instead of trying to chase power, which you'll never be satiated no matter what.
No. Yeah. And it's crazy because some people do take these Harleys. I have seen turbocharged, 131s and crazy road kings and, all kinds of bikes like that, making 200 plus horsepower, but they still don't really rev that hard. And those engines are almost 2000 cc's in displacement, those big 131s. So, it's basically a car motor at that point. It reminds me a lot of the Triumph Rocket 3. It's got 2500 cc displacement. But I think the red line's at 4,800 RPM or something like that.
Perfect. That's all you need.
That's all you need. You need a car engine in a motorcycle.
Yeah.
There are definitely advantages to having more of a rev ceiling and higher top end power when it comes to performance, right? If you have the ability to over rev your engine while you're in a corner, you can actually be a little bit more flexible in your gearing selection. Bikes like this Sportster that don't make a lot of top end power, you got to short shift them, stay in that power band, and you just don't have a lot of wiggle room to work with. But again, if you're just stoplight to stoplight warrior going to bar, you don't really need much. Why do you need all that top end power? I guess is what the Harley people say.
Right?
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that it's manifested in a big part of American riding culture. It's like you've got the grounded people who are like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Just give me something that looks cool, that's comfortable, and can go, fast, still being 90, 100 miles an hour. It's like, we're talking about
it's still
like
fast. Yeah.
It's still super fast for commuting and being on the road. So
yeah, fun fact, when motorcycles were first kind of like coming about in the world, the UK had a 4 mile per hour speed limit, and they thought that anything faster than that was incredibly unsafe. So yeah, these bikes are fast, cosmically speaking, historically speaking, but we've come so far, like we've gotten to the point now where, a beginner bike, a Ninja 400 can destroy this Sportster 1200, with a third of the displacement, it's going to be faster. And that's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, and then you start pulling in all that other stuff. Like, why do we want to chase stuff like that? It's like, well, because we're insane and it's fun and we like danger and this is more grounded. Like, this is the grounded option for riding.
Yeah, but I do feel like man's inherent risk-taking behavior has brought us to the point that we are, like there were those intrepid souls in the Serengeti that were chasing elephants and stuff, knowing that they were risking death. Yeah. But they were like, but I'm going to get that elephant meat though.
And we don't know what lies beyond a leader bike and what that's setting us up for.
It's a Turbo Hayabusa. We know what lies beyond there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then what's beyond the Turbo Hayabusa?
There's not much.
White light?
Well, we're not going to talk about the Turbo Hayabusa in this video, guys. Sorry, we're not going to get into that. Whitney, is there any other reason why Harley-Davidsons don't make horsepower?
I think that's it. It's like a really holistic nature, right? It's like they're designed for low end. They're designed for low end power. They're designed for cruising. They're
Yep.
designed for comfort.
Yep.
So which is the total opposite of your sport bike.
Yeah, and inherently the engineering around these engines means that they just cannot rev that high because the stroke is just way too long, the pistons are too small. If you were to rev them out to 12 or 13,000 RPM, it would probably just yeet the pistons right out of it because they're just moving so far to get there. You just can't really get that kind of top end power. But guys, what do you think down below about why Harleys don't make horsepower? Do you wish that they made more horsepower? Are you excited to see stuff like the RevMax engines coming out from Harley Davidson? Or are you more of a grounded motorcyclist, as Whitney was talking about, someone who wants to just enjoy the less refined things in life, the corn-fed American motorcycles such as this Sportster 1200 over here? Alternatively, if you have only ridden these types of motorcycles, highly encourage you to try out something with a lot of screaming top-end power. I think in everybody's stable, you should have a potato engine, but also, screaming ninja engine. That's always fun.
Or an FTR. Get like the best of both worlds.
FTR is kind of the middle of both, yeah. Or something like an RS660, kind of like 11,000 RPM, good torque down in the middle, or a big twin old school Ducati, like the 1098. Then you're getting both. Everyone just go buy a 1098. That's
the moral of the story.
I
That's
still
why we
dream
came
and
here to
miss
talk.
that motorcycle. It was one of the best giveaways we ever did. But guys, thanks so much for watching today's video, and big shout out again to Manscaped for supporting the episode. We'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Keep watching Amy Noob!